Hey everyone, this is Lex, and I am bringing you another speed paint for your viewing pleasure. This one is actually another revisit of an old piece of mine. Because, I got curious and started pawing through my old archives, and I found this one again, and all it ever was a sketch. And I loved it so much, I wanted to do something with it. Your old ideas can always be a huge source of inspiration. So that's one of the reasons I always keep like a little memo pad on my phone. Because I've always got my phone with me. So every time I have an idea, even if it's just like a silly little throwaway character or something, I'll jot it down. Because, if I sit on it a while, and if I come back and I'm struggling with, say, some art block, going through your old work and your old ideas is one of my favorite ways of overcoming art block. But this one, as you can kind of see from that grin, is my take on the Cheshire Cat. Now, I've always loved the Cheshire Cat, and the fact that you can have all of these different looks for it, whether it's Disney or Tim Burton, any of those movies, they all end up looking different. All it has to be is a cat with a grin. That's what I like about it. And one thing I like to explore in my own artwork is madness and mental illness. And the Cheshire Cat is a good way of doing that while keeping things kind of lighthearted. Because, yeah, the Cheshire Cat is definitely mad, but he seems to enjoy it, so I think it all works out for him at least. I got through the sketch here pretty quick, mostly because I had my old one to work off of, see what I liked, what I didn't. Now I'm doing the inking on a different layer. Always good to keep those separate, because then you can, when you're done with the sketch, you can just make it invisible. I never delete it, just in case, for whatever reason I might need it again. I almost never do, but I like just keeping it. Why get rid of it, you can have as many layers as you want. This one had, like, text. And it's a quote from the Cheshire Cat. It's, "We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad." There's probably some truth in that. I mean, the Cheshire Cat is definitely crazy. But if you're the only sane person in a world of craziness and you're the outlier, are you then the crazy person, just like Alice? Hard to say. I'm certainly no expert. I had fun with the colors. And trying to get, like, the pattern on the cat just right. You can see me playing with it quite a lot right here. It took me a while. Eventually, I settled on stripes, but they weren't quite working right, so I had to, like, flip them around. So I wanted them going kind of horizontally across the cat. And I love, it just gives you an opportunity to do some really unnatural colors for the kitty. That, for a regular cat, you don't get a chance to do those kinds of crazy colors. You know, I never saw a Lisa Frank version of the Cheshire Cat, but I'll bet it would look really awesome. If anybody knows of a piece, I would love to see a link down in the comments so I can go see it. I picked a pretty dark background to work with because I wanted to put the cat in his sort of native woodland home, which I'll get to the backgrounds right here. And doing a forest is kind of interesting because if it's not going to need to be really in focus, you can just be real quick and easy with it. So this whole background is on a different layer here. Actually, it's on a few layers, and I'll merge them later so that I can add things like mist and lighting and a sort of a Gaussian blur effect to kind of push it back into the background so that you can tell, yeah, that's a forest. But no, I can't tell that she was too lazy to do the textures on the trunks of those trees. One of my favorite things about doing these kinds of things digitally is I need practice with shading. Things are a little easier shading on digital than they would ordinarily be. Because I can blend a little easier. If I don't like it, I can kind of skip back a bit. I'd really like to start practicing more hard lines, but hard lines with shading, I mean. Wasn't to be here. I wanted to make the kitty look soft. I keep calling it a kitty, but honestly, those teeth, Cheshire Cat looks like it could snap your hand right off if you tried to pet it. I think Alice in Wonderland, the Disney version, was my first exposure to this world, this fictional world of Wonderland. And while I loved the design of the Cheshire Cat, that fat pink kitty, the voice always kind of weirded me out. Not because it was a bad voice, but just because I just kept hearing Pooh Bear the entire time, saying crazy things to this young girl walking in a forest from up at a tree. And, you know, that image just really kind of stuck with me. Oh, well. I think the voice worked, but it's the same voice. It's just very different line delivery. I'm doing my overlay layer. That really helps. So everything else always goes underneath that. Unless I really want a feature to pop, like, say, a bright glow effect or something. I'm trying to figure out, an eye for this guy. I figured it should be unsettling, so I gave him goat eyes. I was trying to be careful with the texturing here because that fur and all. And just a little bit of roughness to the nose. You know, ends up being fun. Looks pettable. which, you know, is a goal to work toward on a furry critter like that. Adding a few leaves to the background. I guess I figured the trees were a little too bare looking. Oh, experimenting with some light for the background here. Never be afraid to try weird stuff, because sometimes you can get like a really neat accident that'll end up happening, like here. Everything just lined up perfectly in the background there to make those trees get kind of a like a light on them. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't really been experimenting with those luminosity brushes in the back there. Here I'm trying to make those words, whiskers, stand out a little bit more. And that's just working with the line layer there. Oh, here we go. Fast version. Way you can see it going without all of the in and out nonsense. I think the weird little stripes are my favorite part of this. That in the background. I'm having fun experimenting with backgrounds. Ordinarily I hate it, but it's so much easier digital. At least for me. And there we go. Final piece. Thanks so much for coming along with me on this. I had a lot of fun making it. We'll see you next time.